This is Paul, just making a quick little video on a big move that I made in my portfolio regarding AT&T. This video is going to be mainly focused around going over that decision, what prompted it, why I offloaded a large position today, and just kind of why I did this. Remember, like I tell you all the time, guys, I'm just a guy on the internet. Um, just a regular old guy. So the news came out yesterday, or started to get put out yesterday, that or maybe it was Saturday, where they were talking about spinning off Time Warner Media and like Discovery, combining to form like this, like basically like a mega. I guess that's a good way to put it, like a mega company, like a just all these different streaming, or not streaming assets, but like just basically all these media assets into one company. Um, So the history of AT&T is basically that a lot of people think that when they bought Time Warner, they bought it for, it was just, they bought it at the height of like the dot-com bubble or something. It was some, or I forgot how it works, but like it's they just basically got a hold of it and they didn't know what to do with it. So they've been trying to do like HBO Max and that kind of thing. So here's the thing. So, and why I basically offloaded three-quarters of my position today for a profit. The problem is this. That right there. If you know anything about AT&T, um, anybody who's ever touched the stock can tell you, if you go to the all chart, the stock is not worth much more now than it was back in 2001. Um, you know, it had an all-time high during the dot-com bubble. Let's put it like that. Like it was doing good for a few years there. It was like really good, trending up, and then like it just had bad management. And as anybody who can tell you, it has traded effectively sideways. The reason why so many people hold on to this stock these days is they have recurring revenue from like HBO Max and the media assets, like like CNN, that kind of stuff. And they also have like their telecom business, like the mobile phones, people that buy the internet, that kind of stuff. So they have like kind of like this utility side business that's been very consistent, and then also they have some media assets. Well, recently a lot of people were questioning, well, what are you going to do with the dividend? And what are you guys going to do with the dividend? What are you going to do with the dividend? It seems kind of high compared to everybody else. And just last month, the CEO of this company, who knew he was in talks to do this whole spin out, literally told everybody that the dividend was perfectly safe. There was nothing to worry about. And then all of a sudden, we find out that they're doing the spin-off company. Well, normally, okay, they're spinning off, and they were going to get 43 billion. So hold on, you're spinning off the company that's been dragging you down, that requires a lot of debt to maintain the media assets, and you're getting 40 billion dollars for it. Okay, great. That's AT&T's like 60 billion in debt. They're one of the most debt-laden companies out there. So of course the stock price went through the roof. Well, I was looking at Bloomberg this morning, and they were doing the phone call where they were going over it, and they were looking at the paperwork, and they kind of snuck this in. And I'll put this in the description of the video. They're restructuring the dividend. Well, everybody was like, I mean, Bloomberg just kind of mentioned it for 3 seconds and just moved on to something else. And they got some different things in here, like, it's this kind of cut, it's that kind of cut. Well, here's the issue, is that the reason a lot of people are actually in this stock, and if you look at it, their earning, yeah, it's a very badly valued company. So, and it's a very debt-laden company, but they pay a very good dividend. And then just last month, the CEO said, no, the dividend's stable. We have HBO Max. We're getting subscriptions from there. We're going to really build that out. Well, now you're spinning that off into a different company, which AT&T shareholders are going to get a hold of. The problem is that they're cutting the dividend down by a lot. Um, so what happens is to be a dividend aristocrat, you have to have consistent, you know, right here, like the informal list of dividend aristocrats, which includes AT&T, is comprised of companies that have increased their base dividend for 25 years. So this CEO is effectively throwing out 25 years worth of work to get onto this list. This list is a big deal. And the reason why this list is a big deal is because people that retire and rely on passive income, people that have that as a portfolio strategy, it's a pretty big deal. These types of ETFs, low volatility ETFs that exist, SPHD, the really big one, they have an entire strategy where they only buy companies that have those types of things. And if you look at SPHD, for example, AT&T makes up 2.8% of it. And they're effectively, I think I saw some estimates that they might cut this dividend in half, possibly, from where it's at. Um, I believe you would have to go to their earnings right now and kind of look at it, but you have to, we have to see where the dividend goes. But the issue is, there's a very big issue right now. Is basically they're cutting their dividend by a pretty large amount. One of the biggest reasons people own this company was because of the dividend. And also, they're spinning off their growth assets, one of the things that was going to help them grow in hopes of competing with Netflix in some way. But it's going to be an independent, or it's going to be a separate company. So, what happened today is exactly what I thought was going to happen and why I dumped AT&T. Is when you logged into the market, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, awesome! They're getting all this money. They're going to pay down their debt." And then all of a sudden, it turns out they're going to take $20 billion of that to create new content under this new company. That's not paying down debt. Um, and then also to find out about this dividend cut, you actually had to dig into all the paperwork that they put out, and it was only like a little small line devoted to it, as if it's some tiny thing. Um, Anybody who's ever traded this company knew that this was going negative today. Like this was going to go through the floor today because effectively they're going to get kicked off of the dividend aristocrats list without a doubt if they got their dividend. Um, like see this right here is like 63% in the previous quarter will be resized, and this is how they worded it. This is insane. And then they didn't even tell you what they're resizing it to. They just gave you like a general idea, and then the company was based on tips for like 20 billion. So when you do the math on that, it's effectively cutting their dividend in half. So a lot of people basically said, "Well, I own this company for literally one reason." So throughout the day, you can kind of see like, "Oh yeah, everything's great, everything's great." And this is when I sold. I sold when the market opened. I sold 50 shares out of the 103 that I own, and then I sold another 25 shares right here. And then as soon as I sold that, and the news started to get out to everybody who owns this company because of the dividend, even though the market is weak today, like if you go to the market today, it's been trading kind of sideways. Discover's still up. Discover's still doing great because they're getting all these assets for, they're getting all these assets. They're about to roll them up and basically about to become competition with Netflix possibly. But AT&T is sitting here. What do they have left? They have their mobile business. They're not paying down any debt, so they have all the debt. They have their utility business, like the kind of providing phone lines to people's houses. But T-Mobile and Verizon are kicking their butts on the cell phone side. So it's like, what do they have? Um, and then T-Mobile just gobbled up Sprint, so they can't gobble up any competition to get any bigger in the mobile space. So, and also they're cutting their dividend. This is it's yeah, it's a big time. Like of course Jim Cramer was recommended because of course he recommends every. He's ridiculous. But if you read through it, I'll link this article. But basically, that's why I dumped this. I want consistent dividend revenue. Once this money settles, a good bit of this money, I'll probably end up taking. I want to say maybe 2,300. I might put some of it into Verizon, and I also might put some into SPHD in my main portfolio account. I'm gonna keep AT&T around, like a little tiny part of it. But previous to today, this was a large portion of my portfolio that I got rid of. But if you look at Verizon, 57.93, okay, 4.28% dividend, and it pays on the same date. Like, why would I not just take my money from here and stick it down here? You know, this is the biggest competition to T-Mobile. And AT&T is not even they're third, I think, or something like that. But they're not even remotely close, really. So yeah, like a lot of the money is going to get redistributed to right here, so that I can have the same payout date. But I think this is just a horrible move. This is just a really bad move. I think it's impossible to price this out. Some people were thinking that the AT&T stock could go down all the way to 26 as they spin off just massive assets that were bringing in money for them. Yeah, it's just really like some people are thinking it's a really bad move, but the problem is when they get kicked off of those dividend lists, that's a lot of different ETFs that they're going to get removed from, especially when that news comes down the line. Maybe that's why they buried it in the report. They don't want that to happen, but that's why they're dumping today. I can tell you right now, because a lot of people that hold this stock that have retired off of this stock, that's a very big part of their portfolios, are really pissed off right now. Um, I think it's going to go down even further. I have a feeling it's going to go down even further. I mean, I don't know where it's going to go to. Um, I think it's just going to go. It's just there's no they're gonna have to address it, or they're gonna have to do something, or they're gonna have to like I don't know what they're gonna do, but they're gonna have to figure something out. Then also they keep playing up the new company, saying that it's gonna be so big. Well, if the new company is gonna be so big, well, why would I hold AT&T at all? Why don't I just hold the new company, sell your shares, and just buy all shares of that company? Because apparently we're gonna get a 70% stake in that company or something like that, or we're gonna get shares in that company. Like it's for every one share of AT&T we have, I guess we get zero point 0.7 of that company. But the way that they're playing it up is like, it's a very I have no idea what they're thinking. And then the new CEO just does not understand this. And I think they're going to understand very quickly how bad of a backfire this is on them when they see their stock dump. Because I mean, the market's down 0.22% now. AT&T's already down 3%. Once the word spreads and people start repositioning those ETFs that are holding this thing, that are supposed to be high dividend stocks, and these things get cut, you're going to see a lot of people dump. It's sad, but it's just how it's going to work. You kept all the debt, you cut your dividend, you gutted every reason why a lot of people were holding this company. So that's why I'm dumping AT&T right now, or a majority of my share, and then I'm probably going to put a good bit of it into Verizon, maybe SPHD or something like that, just to ride an ETF. It's worked out pretty well for me in my IRA account. But I don't know. Share your thoughts in the comments, like always, like I say, and then just let me know what you think. But just for right now, that's why I'm dumping it until it's at a much lower price to justify the lower dividend. Um, and just let me know what you think. You have a nice day, everybody.